Welcome to the Kentucky History Channel, where we strive to bring you all the Kentucky history content you want and you deserve. Kentucky is a part of all of us, and we plan on covering all the history we can, from Pike County to Fulton County, from Louisville to Harlan. Here on our YouTube channel, you can find many videos dedicated to different events, people, governors, and places in Kentucky. There's something for everybody. While you're here, if you like the channel, hit the subscribe button and the notification button so you get notified anytime new Kentucky history is available. And if you want to support the channel, we have a Patreon page as well, or patreon.com/kyhistorypod. You've probably heard about Daniel Boone, but what about the rest of the frontiersmen who came to Kentucky and settled? That's what we want to bring to the Kentucky History Channel. The stories of the untold, the stories of those forgotten. One thing to expect on our channel is great Kentucky content. Some stories that you've never heard of. The Night Riders, who began in western Kentucky. Bloody Monday, the riots in Louisville. The assassination of Governor Goebel, the only governor ever assassinated in the United States. Stories from all over Kentucky, stories that are unforgettable once you've heard them. You can find out who counties in Kentucky are named after and how your county got started. From beginning to end, we plan to document every county in Kentucky, all 120. Reach out to us on all of our social media platforms. Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And also leave a comment on one of our YouTube videos. You can also check out our podcast episodes. You can subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and many more. Welcome back to the Kentucky History Podcast. I'm your host, Jameson Cable, and we're excited to have Harry Clark of the Wooks on the show. How's it going, buddy?
Pretty good, James. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. We recording this in January, middle of January. It's a little snowy, but you guys got a new album coming out. You have some CDs already out. Let's talk a little bit about those first. I guess I should name them first, shouldn't I? Little Circles and Glory Bound.
Mm-hmm.
Those came out many years ago. I assume COVID, of course, delayed stuff and messes things up, as have been everybody's life for the past few years. But before we get into any of that band stuff, let's talk a little bit about you. What's your Kentucky connection and just in general your life, if you want to give us a little quick summary.
Yeah, man. Well, I am originally from Central Arkansas, a town called Searcy. Well, actually, a little community called Floyd in White County, Arkansas, which is about 20 minutes outside of Searcy. I just grew up playing bluegrass with my mom and my brother and my sisters, going to festivals and, trying to get as much of it in as I could. I got bit by the bug pretty young.
Yeah.
And, I just kind of have been eat up with it ever since. I started playing when I was like about 10 and started going to festivals. And when I was about 18, I moved to Nashville, started playing guitar for a band called the Roys, and traveled around. And in my travels with them, we played a show in Lexington, Kentucky at a joint that was called Willie's Locally Known Barbecue. And it was a music venue in Lexington. And it was run by this kind of wild, redheaded Kentucky hippie named Arthur Hancock. And me and Arthur bonded pretty quick over love of Tony Rice, and he loved J.D. Crowe, and we just liked a lot of the same music, and we hit it off. And Arthur, whose family goes back, and they have a lot of rich history in the horse racing business. Arthur's dad has been doing that forever. He's been real successful with it. But Arthur's big bluegrass boy.
Mm-hmm.
he's
Mhm.
into it. His dad was friends with guys like J.D. Crowe and Tony Rice back when they lived in Lexington, and all those cats. So Arthur, I met him playing this gig, and I just kind of saved his number, and he saved mine. And he'd
Mhm.
hit me up every now and again, and be like, "Come to Kentucky, man. Come hang out. There's all these crazy musicians you need to come meet." And he keep hitting me up, and little did I know that he was hanging out with guys like C.J. Kane from the Wooks and Tyler Childers, and guys like John R.
Mhm.
Miller, and all these great songwriters from the region, and just musicians. And I've been bouncing. I've been in Nashville twice over the last 10 years. I moved here in 2012 and then moved back in 2016, and kind of bounced back and forth. And anyway, it turns out the Wooks were looking for a mandolin player. I'd seen Arthur at
Mhm.
this convention called IBMA, which is a big bluegrass convention out in Raleigh, North Carolina. They have every fall. And I was talking to him, and I was filling in with someone playing guitar. And at heart, I'm a mandolin player. That's kind of what I started out playing, and that's what I love to do.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him and saying, I'm playing guitar right now a lot, but I really want to be playing mandolin. He had mentioned that the Wooks were looking for a mandolin player, so kind of went from there, and that's where I got to know CJ Kane, who I'd known of for his previous stint with Katy Penn and Newtown. That band, he played with them for a few
Mhm.
years, and I might see them at passing at a bluegrass festival, and he played guitar with them for years, so I knew of him before I knew him. And lo and behold, I moved up to Lexington for a little while, lived there for about a year and a half, and kind of was really the first time I'd spent an extended period of time in Kentucky, and really got to experience a lot of the culture and go to some of the more off the beaten path places in Kentucky.
Mhm.
Got to spend some
There's
good
a lot
time
of
in
those.
that. Yeah, like out in Estill County, and
Oh, yeah.
yeah, you've been down to Estill County. It's
Oh,
it's an awesome
plenty.
spot.
Yes.
Kind of a magic place. A lot of really uh, cool people
Well, I
throughout
tell
my
you, well,
stint living there.
I don't know if you may or may not, when you're in Estill County, there's that big mural that's, it's on one of those buildings. I once, when I was little, man, I saw a picture of somebody and I was like, "Whoa, look how that place looks. That's crazy." But I didn't realize it was just a mural. But, yeah,
That's awesome.
that happens.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
It is.
that's kind of that's my Kentucky connection right there. Is through Arthur and C.J. Kane, and
Mhm,
just getting to know people like Byron Roberts, who puts on Kicking It on the Creek,
mhm.
um, and his family
Well,
out there.
one question that and maybe this is me with my Kentucky blinders on. How big is bluegrass music in Arkansas? I mean, a pretty big thing, or I mean,
There's pockets of it.
mhm,
There's when you get into the Ozarks, there's a lot of similar. You can draw a lot of parallels to the culture in the Ozarks to the culture in Appalachia.
mhm,
Um, it's the topography is kind of the same. When Arkansas was settled, especially the hilly mountainous parts of Arkansas, people came from North Carolina, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia, and those are the people who kind of settled Arkansas. So I go to Kentucky, and it feels I feel very at home being there.
yeah, yeah,
So
um,
but there's pockets of bluegrass, but not as much as Kentucky. And even if people, I'll meet people in Kentucky, and even if they don't play the music, they all always seem to have just like a very close connection to it. Someone in their family plays, or they just grew up going to festivals, and they know
mhm.
about it. It's the
Yeah,
Kentucky music for sure.
yeah, and that's one thing. I mean, when I'm thinking of myself personally, country music, especially modern country music, I'm just not that big a fan of,
Same.
and I mean, it's fine, if that's your taste, it's fine. Um, but bluegrass, it's just different. I don't know. I mean, it's something that I really enjoy listening to a lot more than any other form of country. You mentioned Tyler Childress, Sturgill Simpson. Some of the other people who've been on here, the local honeys, you know, I guess music like that. Those are just it just connects. I guess I don't know what it is. I guess it's just one of those Kentucky things. I don't really. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and bluegrass is one of those musics that like it hits all sorts of uh, different folks in similar ways. Like you'll have people who I know friends who have come to bluegrass through the gospel world, like the Southern gospel, which isn't quite my bag, but
Mhm.
a lot of people have come to bluegrass through that. And then I have friends who like I grew up with who were always going to like hardcore shows and metal and screamo and stuff like that. And then they hear like the Stanley Brothers, and there's something about that, like, or Bill Monroe. There's something about that, like, there's almost a punk aspect of old traditional bluegrass that'll draw those guys in
Yeah.
too. You know, so
Well,
it's funny to see who all can connect to the music because it's a lot of different people.
I'll tell you this. So I went to been to many concerts and many metal concerts since you bring
Yeah,
that up. But I did take my wife on Valentine's Day to a Slipknot concert in Lake Erie.
that's awesome.
Uh, so things are well. I did have to go to see Britney Spears though in Tampa
Yeah.
Bay. So, but give
I
and
bet
take,
I
man.
bet she puts on a good show.
Hey, hey, it is a show.
Yeah,
I left saying that it's a show. That was a wild show, but
yeah.
uh,
Hey, you
yeah.
got to give and take a little bit, you know.
Exactly, exactly. I did mention the first two albums. I'll throw those back up there for
Yeah.
people if they want to go check them out. Again, you've already mentioned, or maybe this was before we started. You mentioned that Spotify. I mean, pretty much you type in the Wooks, it's gonna be on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Pretty much all that. Now you said you joined the band. When did you join the band? What year?
So I'm coming up right on my fourth year. I joined in February of 2018,
Hmm.
and I'd been playing guitar uh, with a woman named Jenny Lynn Gardner, who's a great mandolin player and singer. She's from South Carolina, but she was living in Nashville at the time and had a band. And we were on the road. And but yeah, Arthur hit me up after I'd seen him at IBMA that previous fall, saying that they were looking for a mandolin player, and I was really wanting to play
Hmm.
more mandolin. And hit them up, and they were coming through Nashville. They stopped at my house, did a little bit of a impromptu audition, and I got the gig. Yeah,
They said, "Hop on, man."
come on,
Um,
yeah,
yeah. One question that, and this is a question I've had since since I first discovered the Wooks. Where does the name come from? Do you know that?
yeah.
Um,
Well, so we like to say that we are all recovering reformed Wooks. You know, there's a lot of different ideas of what a Wook is. Um,
mhm.
there's of course the Star Wars reference. Uh, you know,
Yeah,
there's the Sasquatch
yeah,
reference, kind of, or the relativity thereof, and then there's the old dreaded out party Wook who kind of ruins the festival for everyone. So it's kind of a
yeah,
derogatory term in some places, some of the festival scenes, and well, we think that's hilarious because
yeah.
we've all had our glory days being that dirty festy Wook.
I was about to say we've all been Wooks at some point for sure.
Yeah, we
Um,
all have. Whether you come out of that Wook hole or not, you know, that's it's up to you, I guess. But there's always
yeah.
a little bit of Wook left, you know.
Well, I was very hoping that there was the Star Wars connection in some sort of way. You know, well, I mean, I don't know if you watched The Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett.
I've not seen The Mandalorian, no, but I've been hearing
Oh
it's
gosh, man.
the bee's
Oh,
knees.
it is, it is. I'm gonna throw up a little picture here of you guys at Capital City Airport. Now it's Muhlenberg County, correct? That's where you was
Yeah,
at. Who
yes,
knew? Big old Muhlenberg County with an airport.
yeah, and this
Um,
crazy plane that they'd flown in for I think they'd flown it in from like Michigan or Minnesota or something. This uh historical Aviation
Yeah.
Society. I think they bring
Yeah.
this plane that was built in maybe it was built in the 19 teens or something, and
Hmm.
yeah, they had it there on that day. So we went and checked
Did
it
they
out and
fly it
took
in
some
for
pictures
you
of
all,
it.
or it was just
Well, no,
there?
it just so happened that it was going to be there that day, so we kind of planned
Oh, okay.
around it and went. We got inside, and it looks pretty crazy. Everything was like, solid wood, like solid wood benches, and it's just like, you know, uh, tin roof siding basically on the thing. It's like,
Oh
wow,
man.
that's one of the first things they were putting up in the air, like to fly, passengers around in, and it was
Wow. Yeah.
yeah, it felt a little wild, but they're still flying it,
Little,
so I guess they're making
yeah,
quality back then. Yeah,
little primitive, I guess. You're thinking, well, my goodness, I don't think I'd want to ride on this one any long distance. It does look like an old plane. Looks pretty cool.
yeah, it was pretty
Uh,
cool. Maybe not one you'd want to take over a large body of water.
yeah, yeah, that's very true. One thing I always try to figure out, or whenever I'm listening to y'all's music or anybody's music, one of the songs, and well, let me back up. How often do you all play? So you got a new CD coming out, a new album coming out. Um, do you play old music? Like, is it always trying to do a balance, or is it let's always rock the old stuff, or let's just focus on the new?
Well, there's a bunch of it. The band has made a fan base over the years of its existence. And so the first album, Little Circles, the only original member that's in the band or that was on that album is CJ.
Yeah.
And but there's still songs on there that are great songs that are original to the band, and that fans still ask for and they want to hear. So we play those songs because they're great songs. And the same with the album after that, Glory Bound. Um, so we try to play songs that people want to hear off those albums, and we also will play, throw in a bluegrass standard or something like that, or
Mm-hmm.
cover.
Mm-hmm.
I really got into Robert Earl Keen, the great Texas songwriter, through hanging out with Arthur and CJ, because they're very much into songwriters as much as bluegrass, and
Mm-hmm.
a good song will go a long way. And so we cover a few Robert Earl Keen songs. We do a few Tom Petty songs, cover the band, and then we'll do a Bill Monroe song. We'll do
Mm-hmm.
something like Blue Night, or
Yeah.
we'll do a Flat and Scruggs song. And then, I've just started writing kind of a few years ago. I'd always kind of messed with it, but after finally being around good songwriters, um, like CJ and Arthur, and hearing guys like John R. Miller and Tyler Childers write kind of from this perspective of a place I could relate to. It was like modern day songs, but written from the language of the modern Southern man, maybe what you'd
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's how you'd say it. It really struck a chord with me and made me want to start writing as well. And so, you know, I've been uh I've been happy to get to do some of my own original songs in this band. And George Guthrie, the banjo player, is a great writer, and he listens to a whole world of music beyond bluegrass. And on this new record, he brought one of his originals, and he brought a song from a great songwriter who lives in Northwest Arkansas, a guy named I'm gonna forget his name. Willie Carlisle is his name. That's it. Who's a great like folk kind of old time country singer songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then
Well, I just
CJ has been a great writer forever. He was even writing songs back when he was with Katy Penn, and he's always been inspired by guys like Tom Petty. He's a huge John Prine fan, and
mm-hmm.
you can hear that in a lot of his songs. If you listen closely, you'll hear a lot of Prine influence, and we cover a few Prine songs. Yeah, so
Now,
we just like good music. If the song is worth connecting to, we'll try to do it.
yeah, yeah. Now, I will go on record in saying that anybody with the name Carlisle is trustworthy. So,
Yeah,
eh,
seems to be
middle
a
name. It's my
a
middle
good
name, just
name.
just as well.
Oh, is it? All right, cool.
Oh, now you talked about I think you said George was plays banjo, right? And I mean,
Yeah.
To me, man, there's something about the banjo that it's a well, I mean, obviously it's a big bluegrass instrument and so
Hmm.
forth. But give us a little, because even myself, you say you play the mandolin. What is the difference between the mandolin, the guitar? Obviously, the banjo looks a lot more different. But I mean, as a player, what's the biggest differences?
Well, guitar and mandolin are quite similar in the fact that they're both fretted instruments. Mandolin has similar string arrangement. It's like if you took the top four strings of a guitar, like the E, the A, the D, and the G, and flipped them upside down.
Hmm.
Mandolin's tuned like a violin, but they're both played with a flat pick and fretted. Banjo is fretted, but you in the bluegrass style, it's very commonly or it's very commonplace to replicate the Scruggs style, which is three finger style. So you wear a thumb pick and then two finger picks, and you kind of do this like rolling pattern that creates like you'll listen to old banjo like Ralph Stanley, J.D. Crowe, Earl Scruggs, the guy who kind of solidified it in bluegrass, and it's got that bouncy rolling sound. And that's because you're playing with three picks at a time instead of one, and that's kind of the difference. And also, it's like while guitar and mandolin are both crafted pretty much like 90%, 95% out of wood,
Hmm.
banjo is kind of like a car. It's just a bunch of different like metal parts. There is wood, you got the
Yeah.
wooden resonator and the neck, but other than that, it's just like, synthetic calf skin and metal grommets and just all this stuff. And banjo players are notorious for always just like tinkering with their banjos, always kind of just turning knobs and tightening and loosening, and you know, it's like an old car playing old banjo. Just
I
constantly
was,
tweaking it.
I was trying to figure out a polite way to put it, but I think you said the best. Just an old car that you putting everything together on. Uh,
Lot of
but
moving
hey,
parts.
yeah, but I enjoy it, man. A good banjo, man, goes a long
Oh yeah,
way. What I was saying, well, back whenever I was talking about your old stuff, "Let It Ride" was one of those songs that, like, I guess I really like that one.
oh
Um,
yeah, yeah. So
and
that's a Ryan Adams song.
mhm.
Yeah,
It's a cover. Or okay,
it
well,
is a cover. Yeah,
yeah, should have done my research on that one. Uh, but
no,
yeah,
it's cool.
I heard it from the Wooks first, so it
Well, that's
it
awesome.
was
It's
forever.
a yeah, there are a lot of people who I don't think would know that is a Ryan Adams song, and it kind of the feel of the song, the way it's written, is easily you know it's uh it's easily portrayed in bluegrass. It feels
Hmm.
right with that
Hmm.
music. But then there's a lot of people who are Ryan Adams fans who might come to our show on a whim, not so much as like diehard bluegrass fans, and then hear that and go, "Oh wow, they're covering a Ryan Adams
Yeah,
song." So it's
yeah.
once again, it's a pleasing song to the ear. The melody's really really pleasing.
Let's talk a little bit. You grew up in Arkansas.
Hmm.
What'd you do for fun in old Arkansas
So I grew
growing
up.
up?
Yeah, I grew up on about uh 26 acres that was connected to about 60 more acres of like forest lands, kind of in the foothills of the
Oh
Ozarks.
yeah.
Um, so I was homeschooled, and I grew up with I got an older brother who plays guitar and two younger sisters, and I just grew up kind of running around the woods and playing music and doing what you do out in the country, riding four wheelers, hunting, fishing, and kind of just getting lost a lot of the time.
That happens. That happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a good way to grow up. I don't regret it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now you bring up Ozarks. I gotta like throw in Netflix Ozarks. Have you watched that show, or
Oh yeah, no, those are the
is that a
Missouri
different part of
Ozarks.
Ozarks?
It
Yeah,
is.
that's
It's
what I think.
the north part, but there's similarities there for sure.
I've only watched the first season. I got to get on to it if I'm gonna keep going.
Oh, yeah,
But
you got to get onto it. They're about to release the last season. I'm an avid
oh,
watcher,
okay.
so it's
Oh, okay, gotcha.
they're about to drop that last season.
Yeah,
And
yeah. We'll see what happened. We had Netflix for the longest time, and then we cut the cord on it. Got Disney Plus for a while. Still have Disney Plus. And now we're back on the Netflix too, so we got it back.
Netflix is awesome for the stuff that's really good. What's a shame is it's so easy to like binge watch a series. It's like you can
Hmm.
watch a series that used to, if you'd watched it like on a network, it'd taken
Hmm.
you like a year to finish the series, and now you can watch like a year's worth of TV in like 3 days.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
you're just like kind of left with nothing, and then there's a bunch of stuff that I don't care to watch on there. So it's just like so much stuff, but there's so
yeah.
little of it that you can
I
like
think
pick through, you know?
I think you're right on, man. Because like Disney Plus, I don't know if you've watched any of that, but all of it, like whenever something new comes out, so like when the Mandalorian or whatever Marvel show comes out, like they do it weekly. So you get one episode one week, one the next, and so forth. It's a bit more of a build up and all that sort of things.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
good way to do it.
yeah, and like the Netflix, like Stranger Things. I mean, I love Stranger Things. But it was one of the things. One of the when it came out, I had to like make sure I was watching it, just make sure it was not spoiled or anything.
Yeah,
Um,
you gotta limit
and
yourself.
yeah, and it's hard to watch 8 hours of TV in a few days. Especially having a full time job and kids and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I agree, man. Netflix has got some good stuff. Currently watching The Witcher. Um,
Oh man,
uh,
yeah, I've been seeing that. I haven't watched it yet.
yeah, a little bit of advice: make sure you watch the entire first season because about
Yeah.
halfway through, I was literally sitting there thinking, "What in the world's going on in this show?" But then once I got towards the end, it all clicked, and I was like, "Okay, then that does all make sense," and it was a lot better.
It
Um,
all made sense.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
Man, I tell you,
Anyway,
me and my girlfriend watch the Great British Baking Show quite a bit too. Gotta
oh,
say,
oh,
got tangled up in that one, and it's very
yeah.
suspenseful, very action
As
packed.
is, yes, as in a baking show can be. I mean,
Yeah,
you don't want to start a fire or nothing.
no, it'll really leave you on the edge of your seat. It's good stuff. 10 out of
Yeah,
10 would
yeah.
watch.
I guess that's our Netflix and other stuff sidetrack. Besides, well, let me try to figure out where to go from here. Touring and all that good stuff. I know 2020 and henceforth has been crazy with touring. You guys back on the road? Got some tour dates and
Yeah.
all that stuff set up?
So last year, it kind of kind of last summer, stuff started opening up and people started going out, and so we had gigs start coming in. They were smaller
Mhm,
venues and kind of smaller gigs, which we were just glad to have anything to play. And
mhm.
it started getting real busy. We had a very busy fall. We had a one run that lasted about 2.5 weeks, where we went up the entire East Coast, and which was great. But it was like going, zero to 100, from doing nothing, and then all of a sudden it's like, all right, here we go for a few weeks out on the road, just straight dogging it, which is
Yeah.
fun. And it's we got another run coming up. We decided to take we played our last gig on like November 14th,
Mhm.
and then we're like, all right, we're going to take some time off and enjoy the holidays, spend some time at home, kind of get ourselves together and recoup from all this kind of road shock that we got. And now we're going to start our tour actually the day that our new album drops, which is the 25th, or we're going to start the day before, the 24th, and then we're gonna be gone from like the end of February pretty much till the middle of April, with a few little breaks in between. But we're gonna be pretty slam packed.
Yeah. Well, that sounds good. I wondered that too. How do you manage like just taking a break? Or do y'all just say, hey, let's take a break, or do you plan it all out, or you just like you get to the end of your tour and you're like, boys, let's hang it up for about a week or two, or it's like, is it just come and go, or
Well,
how's it go?
well, a lot of the times, yeah, you might like be like, all right, here's a few months where we're gonna really pound it out. Because a lot of the times when you're booking shows, they're booked months in advance, and it's hard to
Yeah.
just be like, call a week before a show and be like, hey, we've decided that we're tired. We don't want to. play. It doesn't really work like that. So you kind of have to kind of estimate, all right, by what point in time are we going to be, fried and need some time off? And so you might set a date for, okay, we're going to try to take this time off right here after we do, 4 weeks of shows, or, in this case, we're going to hit it really hard from February 24th to April 16th. It's there might be, uh, you know, there might be 10 days between, those two dates where we're off, and the rest of the time we're going to be playing. And after that, we're going to take a little, take a little siesta and then kind of play it as it goes, But, especially with a new album, we're going to try to
Mm-hmm.
really hit it hard. And we've had a big long rest over the holidays, which has been nice. And so we'll be all refreshed and recharged and ready to get back out on the road.
So many stops in Kentucky, hoping for, right?
Yeah. So our first three shows,
Lexington?
our first one's going to be our first show will be in Louisville at Zanzibar, and that's the 24th, I think. And then the 25th, we're playing Lexington. That'll be our CD release party. We're going to play the Burl in Lexington, and then the next night we're going to Huntington, West Virginia, at what was once the V Club, and they've changed the name. I don't remember what it's called now, but anyone that's from Huntington will know, or the area will remember the V Club if they ever went there. It's whatever it's called now. I can't remember.
Yeah. Now the Blur. Did I say that right? Is it the Blur or the
The
Burl?
The Burl
in Lexington.
Yeah.
I've noticed that I lived in Lexington for about 4 years there in the late 2000s, going to college and stuff. How is it a newer place? Because I don't remember it at all. But I see it popping up all the time. This band's here. This band's there. People I'm familiar with.
Yeah, it's becoming for sure a destination venue, especially in Kentucky. I'd say it's one of the top three places I've played in Kentucky. As far as just a good live music venue. It's not like a theater room. It's you go in, you stand up, people pack in, and you have a good time. I don't know exactly when it opened, but I do think I don't think it's quite 10 years old.
Okay.
So, but it's a great spot, and man, it started out. Lexington's got a very interesting music scene. Not just bluegrass, but singer songwriters, rock, country, and everything in between. Really, blues and soul music. There's just a really awesome scene, and one of the things that helps the scene is the amount of people who do go to shows in that town. There's people love going to shows in Lexington. There's a whole scene of just music fans who are just always out supporting bands who come through, local or regional or whatever. And just that region, the whole Southern Ohio, Eastern Kentucky, West Virginia, that whole region is really rich with musical talent. And there's a bunch of really incredible acts coming out of the regions right now.
Yeah. Well, not only are the Wooks going to be there, but there's other bands there as well. I've been meaning to try and find a time that would be relevant. Sometimes they have concerts on Thursday nights, and you know what? It's just hard to drive to Lexington and drive back to teach the next morning.
For sure.
But that is so. Well, talk. I was going to ask you that question, man. I was going to ask you what's one of your favorite places to play. But you keep on answering the questions before I ask them.
I'll say this too: if you're going to go to the Burl, some of the regional acts who are now out touring are guys like John R. Miller, he's from Huntington, West Virginia. And then there's guys like Arlo McKinley, who's from Cincinnati. And then there's Abby Hamilton, who's I think maybe she's from Berea, Kentucky. Yep. And man, she's so killer. She's such a good writer and singer, and these people frequent the Burl, and so there's some there's some serious regional acts that should be caught, and and they'll probably be in your area. Like
Yeah.
if you live in Kentucky, it's a pretty maneuverable state. It's one of the great things
Mm-hmm.
about it. You can be from Louisville to West Virginia in like 2 hours or something like that. So
yeah, very true. And Cincinnati too.
yeah,
Um, you know, I guess if that's I don't know. I
yeah,
don't know the music scene in Cincinnati as much as I would
yeah.
anywhere
I
else.
don't know it either. I just know those cats because they come, like they would come to Kentucky, and they're even though they're from like maybe over the border, over state lines, they pass through
Mhm,
quite a bit,
mhm.
and
Yeah,
they're worth seeing for sure. That whole region of the country is really blowing up. I mean, Tyler Childers is kind of one of the guys at the head of it. Sturgill Simpson is
yeah,
another one of those guys who
yeah,
it's like they came out of Kentucky. They're not Nashville people, and they're just
yeah,
some of the best.
yeah. That was the last concert I actually went to. Would have been um, Tyler Childress and Sturgill Simpson. Before, I guess that was before. Right, that was like right before
The
all the
pandemic.
yeah, yeah.
Well, where'd you go see
Um,
him at?
Rupp Arena.
Oh yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I bet that was awesome.
So it was really awesome. It's definitely a top 5 of my concerts, I guess. So let's talk a little bit, the Flying High, the new album. How long did y'all take to write this one up? How'd that process go?
Well, so like many people in 2020, we were hit with some unexpected time off, and so we had gigs get canceled right and left. Everyone who's in the
Mhm.
business did. Everyone, even if you weren't in music, people got
Yeah.
laid off. People couldn't go into work. Just a hard time. But luckily, everyone in the band had music that they'd been sitting on for a while, and we got together and just kind of talked about, all right, what should we do? Because the band format had changed a bit, and we didn't really have anything with you know George on it, and I started singing a lot of leads in the band. CJ did, and we added Alan Cook on dobro, and we didn't have anything with him, so we just kind of got together and like, you know, threw out some songs that we had written, before the pandemic, and then I wrote a few songs afterwards, and CJ did too, or like kind of mid pandemic that we ended up
Mhm.
recording. And instead of going into like your traditional studio this time, a buddy of mine here in Nashville, who's a great guitar player and a great engineer, a guy named Jake Stargell, has a in-home studio, and
Mhm.
we just hit him up. We're like, hey man, we want to record this album. Uh, we want to do it with you. And it was kind of awesome because we go over to his house, and it was just like it was more relaxed than being in a normal
Full-on
studio.
studio. Yeah.
Because sometimes you get into the studio and you're in this headspace of like, all right, I'm here. I really need to get down to business. It's crunch time. While being at Jake's and just being in kind of that home studio setting was way more relaxing, and like we could be a little more methodical with things and
Mhm.
kind of take our time. And we recorded it over a series of like 2 weeks in August and then like a week in September.
Mhm.
And yeah, and then
So
kind
that
of
was that this past year? You finished recording it back in
that was in
21?
2020, and then
Oh, okay.
2021 we just kind of sat on it and
Mhm.
you know waited for things to get a
Yeah, a little
little better.
more open. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw this up here in a little picture, a little praise from the Herald Leader. And if you go to the Wooks, and if you want wookoutamerika.com would be the website. You can find a lot of this, a lot of info, all the CDs, gear. But I was able to find some praise um, written in there too. So you can go. That's the same thing that's on that little white one. It's a
Right.
small to read, but if you want to, if you're watching it on YouTube, you can pause it and read it if you'd like.
Yeah. Take a screenshot and zoom in.
Yeah, there you go. Screenshots are well, I live by screenshots. They're a lot. They're very beneficial. I guess very helpful, I should say.
Oh yeah,
Before we
yeah.
go though, tell us social media. Is that what's social media? I mean, that's the cool thing now. All the kids are on social media,
All
right?
the social media.
Yeah.
WookoutAmerica.com is our website, and that's where you can find our tour dates and kind of just more info about
Uh,
albums and merchandise and stuff like that. Or you can just search the Wooks on Instagram. It might just be Wookout America on
mhm.
Instagram and on Facebook. There's also a fan page called Friends of the Wooks on Facebook that you can go like. As far as personal, you can go to you can follow me on Instagram. It's under Harry Formby Clark. That's Harry spelled like Harry Formby, which is my middle name, which is Formby, and then Clark, no e at the end. And
So
give me an Insta follow if you want to.
I joke with my teenage niece all the time. You gramming, man? Are you posting your grams? All that stuff. Did you?
Busting
So
fat grams.
there you go. You're gonna have to tell me your middle name though, man. Where does Formby come from?
Formby. That's it's a family name. As far as I know, it's Welsh. And
Cool.
but in my my dad's side of the family, his dad's mom, they were the
Mhm.
Formbys. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And
Gotcha.
yeah, it's a pretty good name. And if you ever meet someone with the name Formby, we're probably related. I've not yet met another Formby except for in my
That's
close relative circles. So
yeah. Yeah.
if you meet any
Well,
Formbies, let me know. Tell them about me.
uh,
I want to meet them.
well, that's the way it goes. I mean, my middle name, like we spoke about Carlisle. It's a family name, not as in like my mom's middle name was Lyle. My great grandfather's middle name was Carlisle, um,
Yeah,
and so on and so forth, and all that stuff. My son's middle name is Lyle, so
it's awesome.
kind of one of those one of those things, man. That's the way it goes. The names are cool. Names are
Yeah,
cool.
they are cool, man. And there's some old ones. And that one sounds really old, I think. Formby. Carlisle sounds like an old name, too.
Yeah, yeah. That Gentry is my mother's. Well, that's the side that the Carlisle comes from. Um, that's kind of a older name. There's even a saying, as in Gentry is in rich, which is not the case for me. But but that's kind of the used to be a long time ago. We can get into like Revolutionary War generals and all that crap and Gentry and all that, but we'll
Oh,
save
yeah.
that for another episode. Um, yeah, pretty cool name. Yeah, well, that sounds good, man. I again, Spotify. Where can you get the music at? Besides, I mean, I know you can order it online. Wooks Out America.
Yeah, or Spotify or iTunes or,
Hmm.
you know, anywhere where you stream music. It'll probably even be on YouTube as well. And
Hmm.
we're going to have vinyls out. So for all of you folks out there that are into
Old
spinning
school
vinyls
vinyl,
and
man. Yeah.
getting that classic sound, we'll have some vinyls for sale too. So yeah, anywhere you find music, you should be able to find us. So
Yes. Yes. And now we didn't even mention. Well, maybe we did. We'll repeat. It never hurts to say something again, I guess. February 25th is when the new album comes out. Correct?
yep,
Yep. So that is 2 days from the day this episode releases. So
that's right.
it'll
So in
be
two
it'll be
days,
ready to 2 days. Yeah, in 2 days,
yeah, two
you
days
can
from now.
go out and get the new CD. And I mean, if you want some of the older stuff as well, I'd go for that.
Yeah, for
Anything
sure.
else? Anything else before we let you go here?
Man, I think we covered a lot of ground. I appreciate you having me on. Thanks for talking to me.
Yeah. Well, anybody with a good Kentucky connection, even if they're from the Ozarks and Arkansas. I mean, you ran around the woods for yeah, young age. It's about as Kentucky as it can get.
Yeah, Kentucky's very close to my heart. It's a
Hmm.
special
Hmm.
place.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when I was young, we ran out to the creek, played in the creek.
Oh yeah,
One time we got to bring 4 puppies back from the creek. It was an awesome day.
that's awesome. Oh yeah, we were always following creeks, and we definitely me and my brother definitely one time followed a creek for a few miles and just ended up on this big bluff out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh
And then we
wow,
were like, oh
yeah.
man, we're a long ways from home, but we found this sick bluff. And
Yeah.
you just never know what you're going to find if you follow a creek
Yeah.
far enough.
The sun's setting. We might want to head home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Harry, for coming back on. Again, really enjoyed listening to music. I'm glad I've been introduced to it. I'd encourage anybody out there who definitely, I mean, Kentucky connection or just a bluegrass feel. If that's your thing, definitely check out the Wooks. Go check them out on tour. Get their albums and music and check them out, man. Anything we can do to support, let me know.
Thank you.
And let the music grow. So.
Well, thanks, James. I appreciate you, man.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll see y'all next time. Welcome to the Kentucky History Channel, where we strive to bring you all the Kentucky history content you want and you deserve. Kentucky is a part of all of us, and we plan on covering all the history we can, from Pike County to Fulton County, from Louisville to Harlan. Here on our YouTube channel, you can find many videos dedicated to different events, people, governors, and places in Kentucky. There's something for everybody. While you're here, if you like the channel, hit the subscribe button and the notification button so you get notified anytime new Kentucky history is available. And if you want to support the channel, we have a Patreon page as well, or patreon.com/kyhistorypod. You've probably heard about Daniel Boone, but what about the rest of the frontiersmen who came to Kentucky and settled? That's what we want to bring to the Kentucky History Channel. The stories of the untold, the stories of those forgotten. One thing to expect on our channel is great Kentucky content. Some stories that you've never heard of. The Night Riders, who began in western Kentucky. Bloody Monday, the riots in Louisville. The assassination of Governor Goebel, the only governor ever assassinated in the United States. Stories from all over Kentucky, stories that are unforgettable once you've heard them. You can find out who counties in Kentucky are named after and how your county got started. From beginning to end, we plan to document every county in Kentucky, all 120. Reach out to us on all of our social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and also leave a comment on one of our YouTube videos. You can also check out our podcast episodes. You can subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and many more. We're always seeking to find more Kentucky history so we can bring it to you, the viewers, the listeners. We want all the stories and all the events from Kentucky's great history to be told and shared everywhere.